Switching gears now to Florida for the boy-in-a-box mom trial. Tracy Ferriter appeared in court today for just a few minutes as her plea conference was actually rescheduled for June 24th. Ferriter is charged with aggravated child abuse, false imprisonment, and neglect of a child, and that dates back to December of 2021. Prosecutors say Tracy and her husband, Tim Ferriter, locked their adopted son in an 8x8 box in their garage for hours in the dark as a form of discipline. He had to go in the bathroom in there. I mean, you remember the case. It was terrible. Tim Ferriter was found guilty in October of last year of the same charges Tracy is now facing and was later sentenced to 5 years in state prison and then 5 years of probation after that. Now, during Tim's trial last year, audio of Tracy reprimanding their adopted son was played for the court to show the jury the various forms of verbal abuse that the child experienced as well. Take a listen to that.
Do you have pajamas? Are those them right there? Do you hear me? Oh, here we go. Back to this where you can't talk. You're a middle school boy. You want to do all these things. You want to do chess. You want to do things. But you can't talk because you got caught being dishonest. Okay. Well, that's fine. I guess I'll just keep giving you more chances. Every day, new chance for even though doesn't care, he doesn't want to be nice to anyone. Oh, let's let do this. Oh, let's let me bring some food because I think he's gonna have a good night. Oh, let me do everything for okay. Oh, can't talk because he got in trouble because he got caught. It's like, give me a break. Start owning up to what you're doing, and then try to fix the problem, like we keep telling you.
Now, Ferriter has a tentative trial date of July 12th. For a look back at the case against her, here's Court TV's own Julia Janae.
Even before the verdict was announced in the case against Timothy Ferriter, the stress and fear of what was about to come was apparent. His wife could not hold back tears.
We, the jury, find as follows. As to count one, we find the defendant guilty of aggravated child abuse as charged in the information.
Jurors would go on to find Timothy Ferriter guilty of false imprisonment and neglect of a child.
Juror 1, were the verdicts as read your verdict? Juror 2, were the verdicts as read your verdicts?
Yes.
The six-person jury found Ferriter guilty of charges related to the treatment of his adopted son. Tim and Tracy routinely kept their son confined to a windowless room in their garage with a bucket for a toilet. Jurors heard from the minor child, RF, now 16 years old, about what it was like to live in that room.
Did you like being in that room?
No.
Did you want to be in the room?
No.
How did it make you feel?
To me, being locked in a room, it's dehumanizing. It's almost as bad as genocide. It's saddening.
The judge asked us not to show RF or his sister, FF. Both, still juveniles, were witnesses for the prosecution. The defense lawyers conceded that Ferriter made some bad parenting choices in trying to address his son's severe behavioral issues, but they argued he acted out of concern for his safety. The jury requested a chance to review FF's testimony before returning with their guilty verdicts. She testified about seeing her brother being abused.
I was worried that one day that he might accidentally, that he would accidentally kill.
And is that based on the physical force that you saw?
Yes.
And the level of anger and aggression you saw the defendant use towards your brother?
Yeah.
At this time, I'm going to remand the defendant to the custody of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department.
Tim Ferriter turned down a plea offer from prosecutors in the weeks before his trial.
Have you made a decision whether to accept or reject the offer?
Yeah.
All right, and what is that decision, sir?
To reject.
Defense attorney Plea said the plea deal was not so clear-cut.
The plea deal that we were provided was 2 years followed by 5 years probation, contingent on Tracy either taking a plea or Tim doing a proffer against Tracy. I had asked the prosecution what the plea for Tracy would be, and we never knew it.
Tim's wife, Tracy, faces similar charges. It's not clear if a plea offer is going to be made in her case, and a trial date is expected to be set after Tim is formally sentenced.
All right, he wouldn't testify against her. Joining us to discuss, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor David Bruno, and criminal defense and civil attorney Jesse Lyle here in studio. David, I want to start with you. What we found out today, it was a conference for the plea, but it was pushed from the 10th, which is today, to the 24th. As a former prosecutor, what does that tell you about what might be going on?
The defense needs time to get ready. We also know that in the prior appearances, the attorney said he couldn't be ready by January. But now, since things have moved, and the judge did make a comment when he pushed it back, saying that due process rights was a concern. So anytime defense is looking for time and they're giving good reason, investigation, preparation, new discovery, whatever it is, I think courts are right to push it back with the concern of violating due process rights, because this is a trial where she will be going to jail if she's convicted.
But let me ask you this quickly, quick follow-up. It was a plea conference on the 10th, moved to the 24th. We know the trial date is in July. Any prospects that they're trying to work out or come to a deal? Would that be what's going on?
That actually says to me that is one of the reasons it was pushed, to give the defendant time. Look, she should really consider it without a doubt. This is a rare occasion where you really do get a preview of the state's evidence, because her husband was criminally charged, prosecuted, and convicted. And the evidence we can expect to be very, very narrowly tailored to also meet sort of her actions and responsibility as well. So I think it would be good for her to consider. I don't know what the numbers are, but with that being said, she already knows her husband's been sentenced to 5.
Jesse, we know that an offer was made to him, 2 years with 5 years probation after release, but there were some contingencies. He had to testify or proffer against her. Obviously didn't want to take that deal, ended up with 5 years and 5 years probation. It would make sense, and it always made sense to me, that she's clearly, to me, she claims she's not guilty. I think being in the home, we have some video, I'm sure there's more video of her reprimanding the children, doing whatever, that she was along for the ride on this. She sort of signed off on it. Unless she could come in and say that maybe she was under his thumb as well, is there any chance that she would go to trial and be found not guilty?
There is a chance if she claims that she herself was being emotionally or mentally abused by her spouse, and that he was the one calling all the shots and dictating the terms of whatever form of corporal punishment was appropriate in his twisted mind. You know, it's in terms of what David mentioned also in terms of due process. This is also an opportunity where the judge is saying, you have to consider this plea because you've already gone through this trial. Your children have already testified against the father. The defense should get a transcript of that trial and go pour it over with their client and saying, this is what could be possibly brought against you. Maybe they're having her seriously consider a plea offer if one is made to her as well. So it's not so much also what she can anticipate at trial, but also what she's up ahead, because she's already had a preview of what it took to convict her husband, and it may not take that much to convict her as well.
Yeah, she's got to see that from that trial. But here, we learned from motion practice, David, that she plans to call another expert. This expert is going to testify about the challenges faced by adoptive parents when they have children with what RF was afflicted with, and that's reactive attachment disorder. By all accounts, very difficult to deal with. They tried something similar during Tim's case. I thought it fell flat. Is this something that might work, this approach to say, look, this was necessary because this was such a difficult situation?
Sure. I mean, he already tried that once, and I think one of his major problems was he did not testify, especially to explain some of the egregious allegations. Our audience is looking right now at the 8x8 room that was put in the garage of this family, and this 11-year-old at the time was made to go in there long hours, eat there, go to the bathroom there. I mean, so when I'm reviewing this in preparation for today, I could see that there were problems with the child, but that is not the answer. And I think that's where the defense falls flat That's one particular angle that she could take, that it was necessary. And the other is to try to disconnect herself with the husband and point the finger at her husband. And we do know that there's ring video, thousands of ring video, and we didn't see them all at the first trial, but I could only imagine what type of other videos they have that will be applicable to this particular victim, this defendant. I think it's egregious, the 8x8 box. That's not the way to handle a child that's not listening or has psychological issues.
Yeah, those facts are going to be very difficult to overcome. And I can tell you who knows what's on those tapes. Tracy Ferriter. She knows what's on those tapes, so she better be considering that deal. Anyway, all right, we're going to